said, if you made this announcement so that Syria would be sure and hear it, if Syria lets the Hezbollah have anti-aircraft missiles, we will bomb Damascus. That's what they said. I'm just the messenger, okay? But you know, that will certainly fulfill Isaiah chapter 17 when Isaiah said that Damascus would become a ruinous heap. So anyway, if Syria launches a chemical warhead missile against Israel, Israel's nuclear response will result in about 15 million dead. That's what the people at 1913intel.com say. 1913 Intel. And by the way, the reason they call it 1913 is because that was the year before the 1914 World War I, the Great War, started. And they call themselves that because they are looking at similar international events, saber-rattling, cauldron-stirring type events that could result in another world war. So that's the reason for that. Let me go to this one. Brother J.R., could you please tell me where you get Tharbis for Moses' wife's name? I can't find it. I only find Zipporah. Little help, please. Don from Paducah, Kentucky. Don, glad you asked. It's in Flavius Josephus, Antiquities of the Jews, chapter 10. And here's what it says. Let's see here. Let me get this straightened out. 164, 163, 161. Okay, chapter 10. How Moses made war with the Ethiopians. It says, Moses, therefore, when he was born, was brought up in the foregoing manner, and came to the age of maturity, made his virtue manifest to the Egyptians, and showed that he was born for bringing them down and raising the Israelites. And the occasion he laid hold of was this. The Ethiopians, who were next neighbors to the Egyptians, made an inroad into their country, which they seized upon and carried off the effects of the Egyptians, who in their rage fought against them, the Ethiopians, and revenged the affronts they had received from them. And being overcome in the battle, some of them were slain, and the rest ran away in a shameful manner. Whereupon the Ethiopians followed after them in pursuit, and thinking that it would be a mark of cowardice if they did not subdue all of Egypt, they went on to subdue the rest in greater vehemence. When they had tasted the sweets of the country, they never left off the persecution of war in the nearest parts. And so they got Moses to be that is Egypt, the Pharaoh, got Moses to be the general of the army. And so Moses prevented the enemies and took and led his army before those enemies were apprised of his attacking them, for he did not march by the river, but by land, where he gave a wonderful demonstration of his sagacity. For when the ground was difficult to be passed over because of the multitude of serpents, that flying serpents, which it produces in vast numbers, indeed singular in some of those productions of which other countries do not breed, and yet such as are worse than others in power and mischief and in unusual fierceness of sight, which some ascend out of the ground unseen, also fly in the air, and do come upon men unawares. In other words, these serpents will come up out of their holes and sort of leap through the air to attack people. And so Moses got a bunch of ibises. Ibises are tame creatures. These are birds, and only enemies to the serpentine kind. But about these ibises, I'll say no more at present, since the Greeks themselves are not unacquainted with this sort of bird. As soon, therefore, as Moses was come to the land where was the breeder of these serpents, he let loose the ibis, and by their means repelled the serpentine kind and used them for assistance. So in other words, he was a smart man, and his smarts were recognized by the Egyptians. So they came to Sabah, which was the royal city of Ethiopia, which Cambyses afterward named Meroe, after the name of his own sister. The place was to be besieged with very great difficulty, since it was encompassed by the Nile. In other words, it was an island city in the middle of the Nile River. quite round, and the other rivers. Astapus and Astaboras made it a difficult thing for such as are tempted to pass over them. For the city was situate in a retired place, and was inhabited after the manner of an island, being compassed with a strong wall, having rivers to guard them from their enemies, having great ramparts between the wall and the rivers, insomuch that when the waters came with great violence, it can never be drowned, but the ramparts made it impossible, even for such as gotten over the rivers, to take the city. However, while Moses was uneasy about the armies lying idle, for the enemies durst not come to a battle, this accident happened. Tharbis, the daughter of the king of the Ethiopians, she happened to see Moses as he led his army near the walls, and fought with great courage, and admiring the subtlety of his undertakings, and believing him to be the author of the Egyptian success, when they had before despaired of recovering their liberty, and on occasion of the great danger the Ethiopians were in, and before they boasted of their great achievements, she fell deeply in love with him. So she saw this handsome man riding his horse out there, and she fell in love with him. That was Moses. And upon the prevalency of that passion, sent to him the most faithful of all her servants to discourse with him about their marriage. He thereupon accepted the offer on condition she would produce the delivering up of the city, and gave her assurance of an oath to take her to his wife, that when he had once taken the city, he would not break his oath to her. No sooner was the agreement made, but that it took effect immediately. And when Moses had cut off the Ethiopians, he gave thanks to God, consummated his marriage, and led the Egyptians back to their own land. End of chapter 10. The beginning of chapter 11 follows that. So, now you know where to find Tharbis. That's Tharbis, Tharbis, Moses' Ethiopian wife. Well, I hope today's broadcast has been exciting, or at least interesting to you. Thank you again for watching. And again, I love you all. I appreciate these emails that you've sent with your questions and your suggestions. God bless every one of you. Keep praying for me. And hey, we'll be here tomorrow with another broadcast, our analysis of the news. So you keep in touch. By the way, while you're here on our website, look around at the books that we're offering, the books and materials that we're offering in January. You can find them now at the bottom of this page. And who knows, maybe you might find something that you would like to purchase. And you will help us then to be able to continue this ministry and keep our broadcast going and keep coming to you by way of the internet. So God bless you. Keep in touch. Let us hear from you soon. I'll see you again tomorrow with our analysis of the news.